Is he able to hold on to that momentum that he was able to build before getting elected?
I think it will be difficult because, as you mentioned, inflation has gone down, but it's still projected to be at around 200% or perhaps a bit less this year, which is, of course, tremendous when you have triple digit inflation, which is why dollarization would be such a positive move because it's the fastest way to bring down inflation and to get rid of it basically permanently, especially in terms of double and triple digit inflation. But to be fair to Milei, he did say in that speech where you showed a snippet in his inauguration speech, he was very forthright and honest about telling Argentines that things were very difficult. There was no money left after so many years of socialist misrule, and that there was going to be a lot of pain and suffering. So a lot of people, and you mentioned the comparison with Trump, have called Milei a populist, and you can see it in terms of the style. The policies are very different from those of Donald Trump, but also populists usually are not associated with telling people things that they don't want to hear, that they're going to have to go through tough times. It's usually telling them that if they vote for their party, everything is going to be wonderful and the country is going to turn into a utopia. And that's not what Milei has been doing at all. So I think until now, the people are giving him credit for that honesty.
Okay. You wrote an article contending that Javier Milei, Argentina's first libertarian president, didn't rise to power in an ideological vacuum. Despite decades of socialism, Argentina already had a strong following for the principles of classical liberalism long before Milei rose to power. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Right. Well, of all the countries in Latin America, Argentina has by far the strongest network of libertarian think tanks and of academics, professors who teach free market economics in several universities. In fact, Milei's mentor, whom he cites as his mentor, is called Alberto Venegas Lynch Jr., and he's an adjunct scholar at the Cato Institute. His father, in fact, in the 1950s, began teaching free market economics at the University of Buenos Aires. And he organized a series of lectures that are still talked about to this day by inviting Ludwig von Mises, who is a great economist of the Austrian school and the mentor to Friedrich Hayek. So the point is that Argentina has a very strong tradition of classical liberal thought, even during all these decades of Peronist statism and socialism. In the end, I think that is what brought about the Milei phenomenon about, without discrediting him at all, because as I mentioned, he's a very talented politician and communicator of these ideas and making these ideas relatable for the man on the street. So that's to his credit completely.
Yeah. Look, what can the US and possibly the rest of the world learn from Javier Milei?
Well, I don't think there's any world leader at the moment or head of state who is so adamant and serious about reining in the state, cutting public spending, making sure there's not a deficit. And in fact, in January and February, they're already reporting budget surpluses, which the last time you saw that in the United States was in the very early 2000s. So I think in his speeches, the most famous speeches he has given so far at Davos in Switzerland and at CPAC here in Maryland, he gave practically masterclasses of free market economic thought. And of course, the tendency among the global elite has not been towards free markets, but rather towards more interventionism, to having a greater state, both on the social democratic front and also on the, let's say, nationalist front. For instance, Donald Trump, the tariffs, the protectionist policies. And that's why I say that Milei has very little in common with Trump in terms of his policies, because Milei also won by proposing a unilateral opening of free trade for the entire world by Argentina, which is completely different from what Trump has been proposing and implementing here in the United States. So I think it's a very unique phenomenon at the moment.
Policy analyst on Latin America at the Cato Institute, Daniel Raisbeck. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Really appreciate getting your insight and analysis today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.